fallout less than 72 hours after Bound for Glory by TNA Wrestling. It's supposed to be like their biggest event of the calendar year. It is supposed to be like their Super Bowl. It is supposed to be like their version of WrestleMania. And I mean, I just can't help but feel for those that had paid $44.95 or $54.95 to watch the TNA Bound for Glory pay-per-view event on pay-per-view. Yours truly paid $44.95. Now, I know there's some of you all that's out there that may go, wow, Lee, you actually paid to watch the TNA Bound for Glory event? I watched it for free. There were many of you that hit me up with a private message via YouTube, or you emailed me and told me how you had checked out the pay-per-view event. Majority of you all had said you were watching it through illegal streams and all that. Hey, to the few, the proud, the brave, the selected few that decided to come up out of your pocket and represent because you're trying to support all forms of wrestling. Hey, we're all together. You definitely got an ally in me, let me tell you. But to just pay for that event and to come away saying, wow, so Matt Hardy is the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Now look, make no mistake about it. And I always try to show love to those that have been so kind to us over the years and granting us interviews and all that. At the same time, if they do wrong, I'm definitely expressing my point of view. All right. Matt Hardy was a former RCWR Show guest. And look, man, I've let it be no secret off and on during the years that I'm proud of where he is right now. He's definitely one of my favorite competitors. He's one of my favorite wrestlers that's out there. Appreciate the work that he did with Jeff Hardy. I actually appreciated his run as a singles guy. And I know any and everything that he has been through, the dark trials, the tribulations, as many of you have pointed out that interacted with me on the Bound for Glory post show, talking about how he's overcome such great obstacles, such great dark demons in his life, and to be where he is right now. Yes, totally in agreement, not disputing any of that. It's an awesome, sweet, bitter moment for him in his career that he was finally able to become a TNA World Heavyweight Champion. But you know what just ruffles my feathers the wrong way? Every single time TNA begins to make some type of good progress, when they come across something, I don't know, spontaneously, just something that's just unpredicted, it's just organic, that just naturally happens for them, you would think that they would just embrace it, nourish it as much as they possibly can, let it grow to its full potential, to its great blossom, if you will. But they don't do that. They rush it. You know, it's like them with a girl, and they're on the first date, and they're trying to get into the panties, and the woman isn't trying to have it that way. Now, some women, they may cave in, but, you know, most women that are strong, independent, employed, got their own respected money and all that, they're not trying to be tied down and all like that. You know, in due time, yeah, but, like, TNA is like, they don't want to take their time. They want to just get in, have their fun, roll out. That's just how they come off. And a perfect example is what went down with Matt Hardy. Now, in case you guys have missed it, you might have been at work when this had went down. Basically, it was announced via Twitter/YouTube. I didn't know this was the new norm, by the way. But apparently, TNA, they did this storyline where Ethan Carter III, he cuts this little video talking about how he met with his lawyers, and they did this injunction that basically screws Matt Hardy from appearing in the TNA Impact Zone, any and all things related to TNA, while this injunction is in place, right? Matt Hardy, he comes right back a few hours later. Hey, after doing some soul searching, talking with my family, I came to the conclusion that this was the best decision that I could make, which is vacating the TNA world title so that the company can move forward. Make no mistake about it, I'm going to become a TNA world champion again, but I'm going to do it in a way that it's not going to be controversial. And this just, look, I'm telling you, go on TNA Impact Wrestling's YouTube channel and look for the video where Matt Hardy reveals the news. And look at the comments. I chimed in as well. There are so many negative comments right now. It is not even funny. Let me tell you something. As long as I have been watching professional wrestling, and I go as far back into professional wrestling since the early 1980s, I have never in my years seen a move done by a company that just looks so fucking desperate for attention that it's not even funny. I'm being for real. I'm laying it out. I'm frustrated as hell, and I'm going to let it all out for the next little bit. But, I'm frustrated. In all my years, I've never seen such bullshit. That's what I'm going to call it. It is utter, straight up bullshit. And look, I don't want you guys that Lee's hating on TNA. You're not really a TNA fan. Look, anybody that has been checking us out since 2011 knows that I love any and all things wrestling. Whether it's Ring of Honor, whether it's WWE, whether it's TNA, whether it's Paragon Pro Wrestling, whether it's Shine, whether it's Shimmer, whether it's WSU, give me some Dragon Gate, give me some New Japan. I will watch any and all things wrestling. All right, if it's got wrestling attached to it, I binge off of that. I've got to be one of a few people, not to mention that doesn't drive my family and friends crazy, because that's just how much wrestling I watch during the whole week. Even when I have my downtime, I'm always watching something wrestling related. Even if I'm not watching wrestling matches from a wrestling promotion, I'm kicking back and I'm watching something wrestling related in the form of a shoot DVD or documentary or whatever. I'm always watching something wrestling. So when I say to you, I eat, I breathe, I sleep wrestling, I really do. All right, I love all forms of wrestling from whatever promotion. As long as it's wrestling, I'm there. I even try to do my best to support independent wrestling. Even if I can't go to the event, I'll at least do a favorite, a retweet. I'll talk about if that's happening or whatever. I'm all for it. I've never seen such bullshit before in my entire life. Who in the blue fuck thought that this was a great idea for Matt Hardy via social media to relinquish the TNA world title? Now just think about this. Back up a second. TNA does one of their most important pay-per-view events of the year. Not to mention they don't really do that many pay-per-views as it is right now. If you're keeping track, they've only done 2 this year, right? Only 2 pay-per-views they've done this year. Okay? So, you're keeping that in mind. You see the finish that you had got, and you're saying to yourself, oh, surely Ethan Carter III, he's going to cry foul, he's going to get his rematch. Hell, I said to you guys, don't be too surprised if Ethan Carter III gets his title back by the next episode of Impact Wrestling. I said that to you guys. For those of you that checked out the Bound for Glory post show, you remember, you can definitely back me up. I did say that. Okay? Never in my wildest dreams, and I guarantee you guys, if you were to go on social media, you do your Bing, you do your Google search, and you look up TNA Bound for Glory 2015 predictions, nobody said, oh, well, Matt Hardy's going to win the title, but Ethan Carter III, he's going to do something, and Matt Hardy's going to vacate the title. Nobody in their wildest dreams thought that. And you know what? It's okay if nobody thought that, because that's insane. That's fucking stupid. A lot of people were under the impression that Ethan Carter III was going to retain the title, despite the fact that it was going down in North Carolina, the Bound for Glory event. A lot of people were under the impression that, hey man, so what? Ethan Carter is like the best thing that TNA Wrestling has going for them right now. There's just really no reason for them to fuck this up right now. They got a good ride. They got a good journey that's going on with EC3. Let's see what happens with him. TNA is probably going to ride him out. And if you thought that, hey man, you're smart. That's good booking. You see a good thing that's going on, why fuck with it? Especially when you see it's got a lot of life left in it, right? Okay? But TNA, they decide, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe it was a situation where TNA bookers, creative, they said to themselves, let's get together, and you know what? I think at this point, we need to make something big and controversial happen. After all, TNA's future continues to still be up in the air as far as their TV status goes on Destination America. Keeping track of that, I'm sure many of you all have been paying attention to your social media feeds. Dixie Carter and crew, they were talking about big announcements. Big announcements is going to be coming this week. And as far as the announcement goes, it was basically just TNA saying, hey, boys and girls, we're going to be going on the India tour, and we're going to be taping episodes of Impact Wrestling. That was the announcement. That was the announcement. Now, they're promising that there's going to be another announcement that's going to be coming up very shortly. But later this month, TNA, they're going to be traveling to India for a extensive international media tour. So, you know, you hearing that, you're like, okay, well, that's pretty great, but like, what's going on with the TV future? I mean, there's so many conflicting reports that's floating around out there right now about what's going on with TNA. The absolute that I'm aware of right now, just really backstage chatter is really, that's all that's going on. There's really nothing that's too concrete right now. And for those of you that's kind of like, well, what's the backstage talk right now? Right now, it seems as though there's talk within TNA that Impact Wrestling may be airing on another cable TV network sometime in early 2016. Take what you're hearing right there with a grain of salt. You know, honestly, the only thing that makes sense to me why TNA would even do this move, and here I am trying to make sense out of this move that TNA did, I just kind of feel like they're trying to gain some type of desperate attention. They are probably hoping that maybe this will increase ratings, get people talking, get the viewership up and all that, and that maybe, just maybe, possibly, Destination America will maybe want to try to keep TNA around for a little bit longer. I'm sure Destination America, any and always possible, the less that they have to pay for keeping TNA, probably the better, but this just does not look good. And then you think about the silly little email that had came out. We're now kind of getting a little bit more details on what all was supposedly said by Dixie Carter in the email, and the name calling that she had made a reference to one of the executives about basically how they don't know jack about the ratings numbers and all that, and the name calling that she put out there. Why she sent that, I just do not have the slightest clue. You should keep that type of talk indoors in front of your husband or your kids, not in an email. I don't care who you're sending the email to, because it happens to us all. We think we're sending our emails to the right person. We accidentally, what is it called? CC, or I guess that's a nice way of saying looping somebody else in your email exchange or whatever. We all have done it. We all have sent somebody something by accident, and it's like once you hit that send button, and the executive in this case responded back, or one of the executives responded back and said, sorry that you feel that way, blah, 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 blah. I mean, it's safe to say that maybe their days were numbered as a result of that. But I think with what they're doing with Matt Hardy is a very desperate move that they're doing right here. Now, I feel for, because I can shake this off, but I feel for the people that came out of their pockets for Bound for Glory, especially the people that were there in North Carolina that went to the event, and they find out less than 72 hours later, oh, there's no longer a champion, and it's like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? It's just mind-boggling. Let's do this. I was going to take a break, but let's just keep going, man. I want to go on ahead, and I want to try to slide on in J-Rock so he can share his experience about being at the Bound for Glory pay-per-view event. J-Rock, you there, man?
Can you hear me?
Oh, that's perfect. Try that again.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. I can hear you good. All right, awesome. All right, so guys, we're live on the air right now. We got J-Rock. Like I said earlier, good sport. We were talking about his Bound for Glory experience, and like, long story short, we had audio problems, and Jay was so nice enough to come on live, talk about the experience again for you all, you know, because it's really about you all, okay? And I want to show him some love because I noticed he's on Google+. He's also on YouTube, so if you guys want to, you know, check him out, because he does little videos here and there. So if you want to check him out at TheJrockFreak. You got to make sure you put THE in there, otherwise you're not going to find him. You'll find the wrong person. TheJrockFreak, Google+, and on YouTube. Jay, thank you so much for doing this again, man. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
No problem. All right, so definitely make sure you're talking nice and loud. And, you know, take it from the beginning, man. Like, how much did you pay for your Bound for Glory tickets? Who all did you go with? The fan interactions that you had. Take it away, man.
We paid, the tickets were $37 each. Those were 4 tickets. They did have upper tickets for $22 a piece. I went with my mom, who rode 5 hours from Georgia to North Carolina. Mm-hmm. And I said we got 4 tickets, which were $37 a piece, but they did have upper tickets for $22 a piece. We got in about 7:30. The event started about 8. Mm-hmm. About 7:30ish, about 7:45 when the dark match happened, which actually got a pretty good response from the crowd. I mean, it was probably one of the. I think the dark match may have had a bigger pop than the Kurt Angle match did, actually.
Right. Yeah, talk about the fan reactions, because like the energy, man. I mean, like I'm noticing for a majority of the pay-per-view, the energy, like for sure during the Ultimate X match, you guys were into it. It was kind of like, okay, it's time for Bound for Glory. This is what's up. And like y'all's energy just continued to be there. But I thought it was so interesting, like after the Ultimate X match had concluded, we see Hurricane Shane Helms come out. And I can only tell you how it looked from a TV standpoint. I see Hurricane Shane Helms. I'm a big fan of Hurricane, so I'm like, oh snap, that's Hurricane. And then like I'm excited, I'm jumping up, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I'm like, I don't know exactly why he's here, but like, okay, yeah, it's awesome that he's here. And I'm looking at you guys, I'm trying to read how you guys are taking it in, and I mean, it was like you guys were stunned, it was crickets, it was silence. Like, were you guys, what was the senses you were picking up from the crowd? Was it like, who is this guy or what?
Yeah, and to some people it was almost like, who is he? There were a few people who recognized him right away, but a lot of people didn't. And it took a minute for it to finally sink in, like, who he was and what was going on. So yeah, people were pretty silent for a while there.
Right. And see, I don't want like longtime listeners to think, oh, well, you know, they don't know their wrestlers when they see it, because to justify the North Carolina crowd, and remember, this is a North Carolina crowd. They've seen any and everything. They go as far back to the old territory days. You know, Ric Flair, baby, woo, you know. We saw in the Bound for Gold Gauntlet match, Al Snow appear, and he got a damn good pop, would you say?
Yeah, Al Snow got a really big pop from the crowd.
Yeah, he got a real good pop. You guys were definitely into it with the Wolves taking on Brian Myers, Trevor Lee. I thought the biggest reaction y'all had gave of the night, just my personal preference, y'all seemed really into the Bobby Roode Lashley match. I like how you guys had chanted, did you guys chant Bobby Lashley's headband at some point?
Yeah, there was a headband chant at one point.
I love that. I'm like, as long as I've been watching Bobby Lashley, I like see him, I'm like, okay, Bobby Lashley's got new in-ring gear. Okay, nice little new color scheme. I don't know if he was going for Jamaica or what, but I see the headband. I'm like, why in the blue hell is he wearing a headband? I'm like, the headband has got to go, man.
It was very out of place, that's for sure.
Right. I've never seen a bald-headed person, and race has nothing to do with it, but I've never seen a bald-headed person with a headband. Well, you know what? Andre Agassi, he was pushing a headband even after he shaved his head off, but like it was just so uncharacteristic. As long as you've been watching Bobby Lashley, if you've been watching his career that long, it's like, why is he wearing a headband? Talk about the crowd energy when it came to the Gail Kim Awesome Kong match for the TNA Knockouts title, because like I love Gail Kim. I respect the hell out of Awesome Kong. I've seen these girls tear it up many times together, but I gotta be honest, man, and this is no disrespect to Gail Kim and Awesome Kong. I want to make sure I stress that. I'm not talking about their in-ring ability. They're great performers, all right? Just want to make sure I set the record straight. But this particular match, Jay, it just kind of seemed like the crowd really wasn't into it. And I don't know if they were kind of if you all were having the same vibe as me, which is, okay, you know what? Seeing these girls do any and everything, do something different. What was the sense you were picking up with that match?
It was the same there. For me personally, I was happy to see Gail Kim live, but the match I could have done without it, because we've seen it so many times before. They did nothing really different in that match, and then the ending kind of didn't help any.
Yeah, I looked at that match, and I don't know if you would agree with me, or maybe you have a different perspective, but I thought Taryn Terrell, the whole Dow House stable thing, I thought that was like one of the few bright spots that TNA had going on, and I just couldn't help but kind of look back and say, Taryn Terrell, she should have been the Knockouts champion going into this pay-per-view event.
And it would have made for a better match to have her versus Gail at Bound for Glory.
Oh, yes, without a doubt. Because at one point, I remember Gail came back, and it was kind of like she was trying to take out the Dow House members one by one at some point, and then like somehow that blended into the Beautiful People, and then somehow it blended in the Brooke Tessmark. Somehow along the way, everything just got so warped and twisted that you just ended up with Gail Kim, Awesome Kong. I wouldn't be too surprised if the TNA bookers, they just basically did that match just to be safe and be like, okay, this will definitely draw the people in because these two girls, they've gone at it, they've got the history. I think that's probably what they were going for, was a popularity match or something like that.
And also, to me, it felt almost like Gail Kim's last match in TNA, almost.
I can see that. Yeah, I can definitely see that, especially with her husband being there and everything. Yeah, I can see that. Eric Young versus Kurt Angle. We were talking about this earlier, and I definitely still stand behind this, but I want to get your take and the crowd's take on this. But, for me, I see Kurt Angle. He was away from the TNA product for a couple of months. He had got some neck surgery done, and he had a tumor removed. And I know for some of you guys, it's a tumor, a big deal, but neck surgery is neck surgery. That's a sensitive area. If you don't really know what you're doing, slight slip, that's a serious accident waiting to happen. I mean, that's paralysis or worse. And, we see Kurt Angle, who's been gone all this time, not really that much hype as far as him coming back, making his in-ring return, and on the biggest, grandest stage of them all, Bound for Glory. But it kind of seemed like Kurt Angle had a little bit of there really wasn't enough pop. There really wasn't enough sizzle in his return match against Eric Young. Were you picking up the same vibe, or what was going on with the crowd?
Yeah, you're right. The crowd, they were not really into it, but I think people have seen Kurt Angle so many times now that it's not as popular as it should be. People they were glad to see him, but it was a quick pop. It's Kurt Angle, and that was it.
Okay, yeah. I love the spot that you guys did with the Captain America thing. Y'all were like, use the shield. And I'm like, yes, use the he didn't use the shield, man. What the hell?
Yeah, I thought they would also, but they didn't.
Oh my god! And then the main event match. All right, so talk about the Matt Hardy, Ethan Carter III, Drew Galloway match, because you brought up an interesting point when I brought it to your attention. I said, you couldn't help but mention that as far as Matt Hardy being the hometown hero, apparently North Carolina, at least from your standpoint, they did not want to see Matt Hardy walk away with the title.
There was more than one person that was actually booing Matt Hardy while he was wrestling.
Was that pretty unanimous? Was it pretty unanimous?
I would say pretty much. Yeah, it was.
Wow, that's insane.
When Jeff came out, the crowd kind of changed a little bit, but yeah, nobody really liked Matt at all.
What about Drew Galloway? Because, for the longest time, I've been looking at Drew Galloway in TNA, and he's got the whole stand up for wrestling. If you love it as much as I do, stand up. It just really seems like, okay, if that's all he has is the stand up thing, I don't know. For me, it just kind of seems like it's not really clicking with the fans. What was your vibe with Drew Galloway being in that match? Because I know from a performance standpoint, he was a good utility. He was a good supporting cast member, but like as far as, I don't know, I just kind of got the vibe like he really had no business being in that match.
Yeah, I think most people forgot he was even there. It was pretty much Matt Hardy versus EC3, and Drew was kind of just in the ring. Okay. And what was you all's take when you all had saw the finish go about, the controversial finish, and you all had saw Matt Hardy become the champion? Were you all stunned? What was the conscience of the crowd at that point? Right away, there were boos right away.
Wow.
And then after, give it 5 or 10 minutes, people kind of started clapping, and kind of, once his father came in and he brought his son in, people kind of changed, but there was booing right away.
Wow, that's insane. Now, just as a paying customer, you see what had went down at Bound for Glory, and then you see less than 72 hours later through social media, TNA goes, okay, Matt Hardy, he's vacating the title because he's got this injunction going on. How did that make you feel when you had heard about that?
Yeah, it was definitely frustrating, because I would have rather them just let EC3 keep the title, or even let Drew get the title, than to let Matt Hardy get it and then drop it this soon. Right. Yeah, because you would think that, like, if they were going to make that move, that, just to try to draw viewership, just to try to draw ratings, that, they would let it play out on Destination America, yeah. and then maybe do like another pay-per-view theme event, for the network, boost the viewers, the ratings even more. But for them to just kind of do it on social media of all places, it's just one of those head-scratching moments, man. It definitely was. It made no sense at all.
Does it now? Tell the folks, how long have you been watching the TNA wrestling product, and then follow that up with, as a TNA fan, when you see the type of move that TNA made with the title, does it make it more difficult for you as a TNA fan to defend the product? So answer that last, but let the folks know how long you've been checking out the TNA product.
I've been watching TNA since it was on Fox Sports Net back in the day when they were just doing the 1 hour TV shows. Mm-hmm. And yeah, as a fan, it does make it hard to defend when you thought they were pushing EC3 to be the face of the company, and now he's back to, I guess, back in the title hunt, I guess. But it's like, where are they going with this?
Right. Yeah.
So it's kind of a pointless storyline.
Right. Does it make you frustrated, like, to the point, like, are you finding it with what they did? Is it kind of hard for you to defend the TNA product? Because, folks, like I said earlier, you go to TNA's not TNA's website, but you go to their YouTube channel and you look up the video with Matt Hardy making the announcement that he's vacating the title. Dude, there are so many negative comments. There are people laughing at the product. They're like, it's not even funny. Do you find it hard with the move that they made to defend the product?
I do, because you try to defend it, and now people see that they're making just another bad move. And it's a long list of bad moves.
Yeah, I would imagine it's frustrating. Scale of 1 to 10, what would you give the Bound for Glory event? And would you recommend people check it out on pay-per-view, or try to check it out illegally, or just honestly, what would you recommend to them?
I would rate it 8, because being that the crowd was definitely into different parts of it, and the atmosphere made it entertaining. And I would say if it comes to a YouTube page for a cheaper price, watch it there, or just wait till it comes to DVD and just watch it that way.
Okay, awesome. Well, look, Jay, I appreciate you doing this. I know we had some problems earlier, and I definitely appreciate you taking time out of your schedule, because I know you got off work a little while ago, and you did this, and we appreciate it. And I always say it's nice hearing from wrestling fans like yourself that have made such an investment in the product, and to the point, you drove 5 hours to go to the event. I mean, that's dedication. That's definitely the definition of a true pro wrestling fan. As I always try to tell our listeners, anytime you got wrestling coming to your area, try to support it, even if it's the independent promotions. Try to support it. And we're not. I just want to make sure we set the record straight. We aren't the type of show that we're not a bashing show. If I say something that sounds kind of bad, I usually offer constructive criticism on why I think it's bad, how it can improve. And, you'd be surprised. Some people, they'll get it twisted. They just think, we're just on the bashing wagon. But, it's really good to hear from listeners, wrestling fans like yourself, that, oh, hey, TNA, look, as a paying consumer, you guys kind of fucked up a little bit, and
they did big time.
Yeah, they did, and they need to listen to you guys, because I mean, when it's all said and done, I don't care who's running the company. It could be TNA, it could be ROH. I don't care, but at the end of the day, the wrestling fans, the paying wrestling fans like Jay, is the consumers that these companies really need to be paying attention to, because these are the guys that's going to go to these events. And if they like what they see, they're going to do word of mouth. They're going to talk about it on social media. It's going to create buzz, and that's how it catches on fire. And then that's how it becomes like a juggernaut phenomenon. And I think NXT is a good example of that. It's like word of mouth. You know what I'm saying? So you do wrong, and it's kind of hard to get on the rebound again. And Jay, thank you so much, man.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Oh, no problem. Enjoy the rest of the night, man.
All right, you too.
All right, thanks. Bye. Yeah, I hope you guys had appreciated that. That was TheJrockFreak. Again, TheJrockFreak. Make sure you show him some love. Really appreciate him taking the time out to do that.